Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our June Bronzeville Neighborhood Association General Meeting. And I apologize for the little delay. We had an unfortunate event here at the church with the fire alarm. It took a while to get things corrected. But we are a tenacious group. We're determined, and we're still going to have our meeting, and everybody stayed because they know we have good things to say about this exciting neighborhood of Bronzeville. So I would like to call the meeting to order, and we have the minutes, and take a few minutes to read those minutes, get familiar with what has recently happened. Yeah. Right. You didn't want to say anything in communications?
The only thing about communications is on the website. I want to submit as a board before we're sharing it with the children.
Okay. So, has everybody been able to review the minutes? Yes.
Correction. Page 2.
Yeah, if there's some corrections.
This is correct. Under page 2, under the telecompanies, it
Yes.
says Hamilton Road should be Hamilton Avenue.
Oh, Avenue instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you.
Okay. So we have one correction on the minutes. If there are no others, I ask for a motion for approval of the minutes. Somebody would like to move on that?
Motion that it is be approved.
Okay. All right. So all say aye in favor of the motion.
Aye.
Okay. So the minutes are approved with the correction as noted. And so we will have our meeting, and our meeting is a little different today because President Willis Brown is out of town today. So I will step up as Vice President, Dana Masner, and of course we have Dina, it's our communication. We have our treasurer, Stephanie Myrick's here also. And like I said, we had a little slowdown, but we're continuing with the meeting. And so our agenda is a little bit different also today. And once, twice a year, we try to have a meeting as things are happening in the neighborhood where we can have people who have concerns, more or less, state those kind of concerns. Some meetings, we have so many things happening that are right now that we're talking about all those, and maybe there's not enough time for people to say some things they'd like to bring up. But first, I will give the Vice President's report. Normally it'd be the President's report, but like I said, as Vice President, I will give my report. And one of the first things I'd like to say is, with the Bronzeville neighborhood being as dynamic as it is, we are hearing discussions of the neighborhood throughout the city, in the media, like newspapers, news, various sites, people talking, and frequently we hear Bronzeville, which is nice, which is exciting, which is what we like, but then also it's King Lincoln. King Lincoln, King Lincoln. Particularly realtors. I've seen some things with realtors lately that are in areas that are not King Lincoln. And again, I bring this up because the King Lincoln District Plan of 2002, as approved by City Council, was very clear on what the boundaries of King Lincoln are. And as a result, we want to keep the district intact as city council verified it. And that is from the freeway to 20th Street, North 20th Street, from Broad Street to Atchison is the King Lincoln District. King Lincoln District is within the greater Bronzeville neighborhood. Bronzeville neighborhood goes from Jefferson, immediately west of 71, to Taylor, North Taylor, to East Broad Street, to 670. So the district is a little piece. So I particularly ask real estate interest people to please acknowledge our neighborhood. And this is important because this is a predominantly African American historic neighborhood that has been recognized and received proclamations in the big event we had at the Lincoln Theater on March 3rd, both from our state representative and our state senator representing this area. And then right after that, we got a designation from Joyce Beatty from the U.S. Congress representing our area, all recognizing Bronzeville. So please acknowledge the historic African American neighborhood of Bronzeville. Now, the other thing, several things happened in the past few weeks, 2 weeks. We had the Bronzeville Memorial Day Parade, which was on Saturday 2 weeks ago. It was it was back to the future. This neighborhood has had historically fantastic parades involving neighborhood residents, the lodges, East High School, other events. And for years we've been talking about we want to bring this back. So Mr. Edmondson, who has the barbershop on 20th, he instigated the event. He went through all the processes. We in Bronzeville Neighborhood Association gave some money. Some other groups gave some money so the event could take place and meet the city requirements. And I know many of the people who are participating today in the audience were there. And we, the executive committee, rode in Mr. Brown's 1949 Cadillac. We had a wonderful time. And there were a lot of people on the route. And we started there by St. Paul AME on East Long Street, went down to Champion, went down Champion to Mount Vernon, went Mount Vernon, and ended up at the King Arts Center at Mamie Moore Park, and there were hundreds of flags there. It really was a nice event. And next year, everybody's talking about next year, we can add to it, we can do some additional things. But as an inaugural event, it went very well. We were very pleased, and we thank Mr. Edmondson for all his efforts, and the community did turn out. Then the other thing is, on the 5th of June, that was last Sunday, several of us participated in Rita Fuller Yates' inaugural tour with her new tour bus for the Black History Columbus tours that she's doing. And it's an hour-and-a-half tour, and we started at the Bronzeville Community Park there at Hamilton and Spring Street. She gave a little discussion summary at the beginning of the tour, and then we went downtown, and she explained how with the flood of 1913, it kind of set things in motion where there was a migration locally of the black community that had been down along the river on River Street, how they came this way. So she took us around various venues downtown, right by the State House, and worked her way this way. And then she brought us through Bronzeville, and we went all the way to beyond Woodland, almost to Nelson Road. And then she brought us back. Now, she brought up the relationship of the flooding of the river in 1913. Like I said, instigated some movement this way. The churches started coming this way. A lot of the black community, others also moved this way. And there's an addition that we in the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association would like to add to what she's saying. Excuse me. That is in the Champion corridor. Champion, back in the 1860s, 1870s, that area was a swamp. There was a creek coming through there. It wasn't land that anybody wanted. It was where people were living outside of town. In many cases, maybe they didn't own the land, but they just always had lived there. And it also was close to the railroads. So you had two groups that were very present there. You had the African Americans, the blacks, that had a presence there on Champion. You also had some Irish, because they worked on the railroads. The roundhouses, the railroads, the warehouses were outside of downtown going east. So as Rita Fuller Yates said, many of the blacks moved from downtown coming this way. Those people were already there, and there were more of them. And then they eventually met and interspersed and made up what is now the neighborhood. And that area is what became the Blackberry Patch. Part of the reason why the Blackberry Patch was so horrific and didn't have a lot of the utilities, toilets, and everything is because it was one of those areas that nobody wanted to be. And people were able to live there because they didn't have an opportunity to go anywhere else. So that's another little piece of our neighborhood history, which Rita will elaborate on. And we encourage anybody and everybody who's interested in Columbus history, and specifically Columbus Black history, to contact her and take part in that tour. The other thing is, on the 9th of June, that was Thursday evening, we had a series of events regarding the deal project at Hamilton and Long. It went before the Columbus Development Commission, and it was approved. And then just a few hours later, it went to the Near East Area Commission General Body, and it was approved. So now the project goes before Columbus City Council sometime in most likely July, sometime the next 3 or 4 weeks for its final approval. Yes?
If you home, are you going to stay with the community or
I don't know what the specifics are, and I don't want to say anything that may not be totally correct. So I just know there will be no funeral home on that location. That's all that I can really say. But of course, you could contact his wife Estella or the Deal Project developers. They may know. So the project again is an exciting project, and the reason, one of the reasons why the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association is very excited about the Deal project is Mr. Richard Deal, who has passed away several weeks ago, was a strong supporter of the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association from the very beginning. And like we previously said, he had contacted Willis Brown and myself when, with developers, we put together a possible project at Hamilton and Long across from the project site that we're now talking about, where the Gateway building is. He very much wanted to be part of it. He was willing to put money on that project. He wanted to be part of something that housing, commercial retail, all of that. We went to Mayor Coleman, presented the project. He didn't want that to happen there. What he wanted was a project where he could put internal affairs for police. And there was so much discussion in that community at that time. How can you put internal affairs in the black community, you know, with all the problems and all the suggestions that brings? But the city of Columbus was under federal mandate at that time. They had to take internal affairs out of the main police station downtown because it was intimidating for people who wanted to go to the internal affairs to have to go into the police station to report on the police. So they were obligated to take it out of the police station. So Mayor Coleman at that time was using police substations as a movement toward developing in neighborhoods that needed help developing. So we got stuck with the internal affairs in that building at Hamilton and Long. And to just tell you how things come around as they go around, that was 2005, 2006, when they moved in, internal affairs is either completely out or just about out and have moved to Champion and Broad in a building that they just redid. So Mr. Richard Deal is getting his wish. It's just happening after he has left us. And internal affairs is out of the neighborhood. He's getting the project he had wanted and a little bit more because it's going to be on his site with his architect and his requirements. So with that, thank you, Richard Deal and his family. We appreciate all your efforts. And it really is what they call an iconic building. It's very unique. It's unlike anything else on the Near East Side. And it will have Bronzeville on the top of the building facing downtown. So anybody who wonders where we are, they will know. So with that, then that concludes the Vice President's report. And now I'll go to our treasurer, Stephanie Myricks. Excuse me.
Question.
Yes.
It's building that are Champion and Broad that they're moving to or to move to?
It's, no, it's on the southwest corner. It used to be a daycare center right at the light at Champion and Broad. And they've remodeled it to fit, I believe, the fire investigation department or investigation for fire goes there, plus internal affairs. Stephanie?
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie, and I'm the treasurer for May. This report is for the month of May 2022. We have a beginning balance of $2,852.81, with a deposit for the month of May $40 and expenses of $300. We have an ending balance of $2,592.81. The ending balance is in agreement with the monthly statement of May with the Huntington Bank. Thank you.
All right. Any questions or concerns about the treasurer's report? All right. Now we will go to a discussion, statements, however you want. We have several minutes where you can make known your concerns about issues here in the neighborhood or issues that relate to the neighborhood. So if anybody has anything they want to bring up. Yes.
Hi, I have a concern about the alley between 17th and 18th, right off the lawn. I know that property is owned by Second Baptist, but the road is so overrun, it's almost created a tunnel. And it's difficult to get up and down it. Now, I understand because the trucks are there for RLA that they're doing the gas line.
Right.
There's been a lot of potholes there, so we understand that can be done. That can be repaired until they finish doing it, otherwise they can just keep torn up. But the overgrowth is a problem. So do we contact the city or contact them?
Yes, you can contact 311 and request that there be some cleanup in the alley, brush removal. But President Brown and I will also contact the city on this because this is an ongoing concern throughout the neighborhood during the summertime. And we've requested on specific alleys where the city goes through and does brush removal or tree limb removal because it impairs visibility or being able to get down the alley. So if it would be nice if you do it because you're a resident that backs up on the alley, but we also will bring that up.
To include dumping.
And dumping, yeah. All right. Yes. And like I said, that is a concern throughout the neighborhood. And we've had several alleys that have made miraculous recoveries as a result of the intervention at various times, such as the one right behind the church over here between Talmadge and Garfield. They've done a miraculous job on this. So that alley right there at Second Baptist does need to be addressed.
Our home, right, adjacent to what they use for staging area for a motor pool, basically, of all of the vehicles. Any idea of longevity when this whole project is supposed to end?
The gas line removal, they start in the inner city and they go through certain areas that are in most need. And so that's why they started right here. Now, that's a staging area. And they store things there, and they're doing things in Old Town and Oak and South Champion. They go way down there. So I don't know how long they're going to be there and the radius from which those people leave to go and do that. But that is Second Baptist property. So Second Baptist is getting some kind of income from them storing their equipment there. But yeah, so we can ask, we can find out from the city what the plan is on that. But Second Baptist, I would think they would, but if they don't, still we can call and find out. If you want to investigate that, that's fine. But also we can look into that because I've been wondering that. They've been there for a year and a half that I know, at least a year and a half, or longer than that.
How long it does?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So and document any property damage like your fence and whatnot so we can get that taken care of when they're done. All right. Any other concerns, good things, interests?
Music, jazz.
Oh yeah, well, in announcements, which I can bring that up since it was brought up, we are going to have our jazz concerts at the Bronzeville Community Park start July 3rd, and they'll be July 3rd, that's Sunday, 4 to 6. Same time, location, July 10th and July 17th. And these are going to be local jazz groups. And I don't know if it's going to be 2 groups for the 3 concerts or 3 different groups. I'm not sure what the relationship is right now on that, how it's going to work. But it's a wonderful location, and it's a nice green area, so you can bring your lawn chair, your blanket, whatever you want to do. And again, this is the inaugural event. This is the first year we're doing this. Last year, we had the Columbus Symphony come out and give a concert at the behind the King Arts Center, and people sat in the grass and kept social distance. And we had the other concerts given by the King Arts Center. So we're starting to get a variety of music in the neighborhood, which is exciting. And we're open to other suggestions. And the park location is nice because we have the plaque for Bronzeville there. We have a plaque recognizing the music teacher that had the music house on the corner there. And we will be having our flagpole installed soon. I don't know if it'll be in time for the concerts, but the city, Parks and Recs, will put a flagpole in so we can put up our Bronzeville flag.
Who's the sponsor of the Bronzeville Jazz Series?
Equitas Health. Equitas Health.
Okay.
We had talked to them earlier in the year, and they were wanting to contribute to Bronzeville. They're interested in supporting Bronzeville. We've had many meetings with them, discussions, and so they felt this was something they could do that would contribute to something that a variety of people would enjoy in the neighborhood.
And would there be vendors as well?
Not at the moment. No, not this year. And it's, as we know, it's a relatively small park, so we'll see how it goes. And as we all know, these music things kind of expand. So we'll see this year.
We are looking into possibilities next year, but because of the time frame, it just wasn't.
Not a criticism, just a question.
No. That's what I'm just saying. It was just
And again, this is another one of those things like the parade that Mr. Edmondson helped put together for the Bronzeville Memorial Day Parade that is bringing more things to the neighborhood, things that we've had before. So it's back to the future. And we are wanting to have a variety of things for a variety of people that are close, that are in our neighborhood. So there's other things that we want to do. Other people may have other suggestions, things that we can do. But there is such a wealth of historic documentation of the variety of things that have been in this neighborhood that just bringing back some of those things are going to wow people. All these people moving in, coming into these apartment complexes, the new housing, they're going to be surprised because this neighborhood has always been dynamic. Anybody?
What was the time again?
It's 4 to 6 p.m. Sunday afternoon. 3rd, 10th, and 17th. Yes.
Would you know the information, if the Sonic Lodge, is that under new ownership? Who basically owns that property? They continue to have events there.
Oh, at Miami?
Yeah,
Miami and Long? Yeah. That's, I believe the lodge, they still have that. Yeah, they still have that. And
I heard more events. Yeah, they are. Not out, their own plus outside events as well. Just rentals.
right. And there was an event several weeks ago we had at that lodge there at Miami and Long, and I noticed there was a bus from Michigan and there were out-of-state plates, so they may have been lodge people from out of state that were coming, which was typical not too many years ago. At least up into the 70s, we had various lodges and they'd come and they'd have meetings and a lot of good times and a lot of activity. So, I mean, that's good to see as long as it's within, you know, the requirements and whatnot. We're happy to have that. Now, I will read an announcement that we got. There, as we know, there's the PACT organization, that's Partners Achieving Community Transformation, which is, again, City of Columbus, Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, and the, let's see, the other one, Columbus Housing Authority, and OSU, excuse me, I state, right. Those are the 3 PACT committee members. So there's a PACT committee that has put together a discussion that involves the Columbus Assistant Police Chief, Greg Boddicker, and it's the Safety Committee meeting on Thursday, July 23rd at Broad Street Presbyterian Church at Broad Street in Garfield. And they've been having several, June 23rd. June 23rd, Thursday. And it's at Broad Street Presbyterian Church at Garfield and Broad. And they've had several safety committee meetings there. And the meeting will begin at 6 and conclude at 7 p.m. And Assistant Chief Boddicker's position was created in late 2020 with primary responsibilities that include patrol and investigations oversight. He has been with the division since 1995. Following Assistant Chief Boddicker's remarks, there will be time for questions and answers from neighbors attending the meeting. Now, again, I strongly recommend that people go and listen and make some statements and ask their concerns, because as we know, there are several parks in this city that have had shootings and we're having more police presence. And one of those was at Saunders Park, right near there, at Atchison, several weeks ago. And we've had some other shootings, unfortunately, Mount Vernon Plaza. And we've had some car thefts in the area. And there's some other concerns. Maybe somebody would like to see our bike patrol back. I know I would. So come and we can talk about these things. Yes.
No, I was
Oh.
agreeing with you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Maybe you don't know. What qualifies or who qualifies for tax abatement on new builds? How's that work?
Okay. Tax abatement in this area on a lot of the new builds. You're correct. A lot of the housing, new builds, they get that. And on the developers on Long Street, they're getting those kind of things. I don't know to the extent that they get, how much, percentage, what they have to give back, I don't know. It varies from project to project. But the concern that we've raised in this neighborhood, Willis and I, President Brown and I, for many years, is that there are people coming in to the neighborhood who get a tax abated property, and they get those benefits for a good number of years. And then there are those of us who have lived in the neighborhood for many years. Some people have always lived in the neighborhood who aren't getting those advantages, those benefits. So we're asking, if there's tax abatements, and then those of us are not getting tax abatements, we need to get something. One of the things we've been wanting is street lighting, pedestrian lighting. We want to get some other things so we can fix people's houses, possible monies. So we've been talking with the city about this for many years. So that is a real concern. Fairness in how tax abatements work for everybody.
Would the county be involved with that?
Yeah, there's the county, city department of development, all that works together. And again, I don't want to give any specifics because I don't want to mislead anybody and give wrong information. But the whole reason behind tax abatements is to encourage development. And so, as we know, the Short North, other areas have received a lot of tax abatements, and it's contributed to some price increases in real estate that have been a concern. So we're always asking for the city to keep us up to date, work with us, see what we can do to equalize things for all people that live in that particular neighborhood, which at the moment we're talking about Bronzeville. Yeah.
So-called seasoned, being able to rely, not to be afforded some of those benefits, schemes,
Right.
but it's running, those that have been here a while now with all of the new deals and the housing bubble, they can't afford it. And you see the transition happening, and it's not all bad, but it is a fact that it's happening throughout the country.
Right.
So I don't know what we do or who you approach or to try to see just what the standards are. It would be nice if you afford it and entice people.
Right. Yeah, we've contacted various developers to see if we can get some things from those developers for the greater community. We've talked about that at various times. Yes, Calvin.
That issue came from Cheryl from those seniors that have been in the pay taxes. CEO freeze taxes, which means it's absolutely the homestead exemption tax model has been used for those seniors that have been here. Now, I have two questions now. Guns, there was proliferation of guns in this community. This is one that was every meeting I say. You would be shocked to know that in the area of 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, if you look at it,
Mm-hmm.
the question is, how is all these done? You can get a gun, but then you can go to the soda box.
Yep.
If I walk right out of here right now and ask for a mad gun, if I go to 20th Mount Franklin and have $120, I can get a gun in the next half hour. Where are these guns coming from? And how is it that our young people, now if I know it, why is the city going to
This is a discussion all over the country right now. And as we know in Congress, Democrats trying to do some things, Republicans, many cases, they say what they say, and they're going at it, and it affects every city in this country, including Bronzeville. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Kids are dying.
Yep.
Because first and foremost, now I don't like to be a naysayer or to beat people over the head, but I guarantee on the issue of Montgomery Plaza and the other plaza and the overproliferation of drugs and guns go hand in hand. Now, if at that meeting, now our chief is from Detroit. 7-mile road, 11-mile road in Detroit is one of the worst models for guns, drugs, and whatever. Now she's from Detroit. She says she wants to come into Columbus to make a difference. I'm still concerned about the plaza and towers.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I tell people, look at it like I've looked at it since I don't know how long, forever. Assume everybody has a gun. Just assume that, and live your life accordingly. I mean, it's outrageous. Yes.
So this meeting that they're having at Broad Street, hearing, and what is the topic of discussion? Does anybody know?
Yes. Topic of discussion is primary responsibilities for this assistant chief who's going to be there. Bodeker, include patrol and investigations oversight. So we have the co-chairman for the PAC Safety Committee. Maybe the gentleman would like to introduce himself and he can speak on it.
Primary intent is to provide an opportunity to speak directly to people in areas of high responsibility within the police department to make it known what your concerns are. Hopefully, get some feedback. It's something we'll have to work on beyond that.
Right.
But you may recall we also hosted a meeting last September with the newest assistant police chief who also Shana Fox. And that was a conversation with all students as well. But in terms of the agenda, it's really to provide an opportunity to speak directly, not go for over there, speak directly to the
When does the new carry, it's here recently, the new carry law, you don't need to permit the open carry, that will take effect when?
July?
Real soon.
Monday or Tuesday?
It's open carry.
Yeah,
No permit.
no permit.
Now you telling me that ain't the wild West?
I don't know if it's open to it, but it is.
Okay.
Walk around with
Shootout.
wow.
You said what? I'm sorry.
I said, I don't know that it's open here, you can just walk around with unstrapped.
I think you can.
You can.
I think you
People walk
can.
to Walmart with that.
You can.
First, it was concealed carry. Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Wild West.
So, yes.
Do you know what percentage or how many of the renovated, new build, purchase homes are associated with corporations? Because what they're doing around the country is they're coming into neighborhoods, buying up stuff, and remodeling, renovating, whatever, and then they're renting out and not necessarily selling them.
Right.
Which affects how the
Right.
neighborhood develops. Do we know how many of that is in our
We We don't know how much that is, but there was a group from California and probably other groups that we know were out here 15 years ago. They were planning this 15 years ago, who bought up all kinds of property as cheap as they could get. Way out on Whittier, South Whittier, going down going east and going below Whittier, all the way up into this area. And and that's why you have those signs, we buy ugly houses, no money down, any condition. Those kind of groups are buying up those properties, like you said, and then they have them and they hold them, and then they have all these properties together, and then they invest, people invest in that company, and then they get a stock return, whatnot. It's unfortunate, and that's part of the housing crisis that we have in every city in this country, including in this neighborhood, which contributes to outrageous house prices, because you can't buy a house in many cases because they're rentals. And they shouldn't have been rentals. They should have stayed home ownership and passed on. And the percentage, I don't know, but Columbus is no different than any other city, and that's a major problem and disappointment. And they keep talking about the cost of housing and all the reasons, but they don't like to talk about that particular aspect, which is a large part of the problem. Any other? Yeah.
The levy coming up, what's the position of Bronzeville
On the school levy?
It's huge.
Well,
It's huge.
usually there's a presentation by the school before the nearest area commission, and they come and they make their pitch and explain what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. So we try to give everybody a chance to state their case, make their piece, and then ask them questions, and then we can discuss things, and then we'll make a decision. But it's still early, but I know it's going to be painful for a lot of people. I know that.
Community being educated as to what the years is. You just mentioned about the series and the tax. That affects everyone. So, you need to have them come here, make their case,
Right.
and then from there.
Well, that's a very good suggestion. We could make contact with the school board and ask them to come out here and see if we can get somebody here who generally when they're having a levy, when people ask them to come and explain, they go because they want it to pass. So we probably have a pretty good chance of getting somebody here to explain it so people can ask questions.
Anybody have any idea when it goes for?
Have what?
When it's going to go forward, when they're gonna ask. Is that gonna be?
Oh, I believe it's this fall, I think.
Then you can also ask Cheryl Brooks on, she can come out here, because she has some connection with this church sometimes. She have her come out.
Have who come out?
Cheryl Brooks,
Treasurer.
treasurer.
The treasurer.
Oh, yeah, this is our church, yeah.
Yeah, this is her church.
Yeah.
So what you can do is just ask her to come out, and ask the such person that, what's the possibility of freezing for those seniors that's been here? It can happen, and to actually have her tell us, what will the burden, the tax burden be every $100,000? It's just like going for the most.
Well, and there's also, I'm trying to remember the office that Stinciano holds. What is that for county auditor? He may have input on that discussion too.
Those
And
are important questions, because as values of property increase, the burden on those people that have fixed income or salary or whatever.
right,
Okay.
right. Yeah, exactly. And I know Mr. Cinciano has been very willing to work with us and talk with us over the years, including when he was on city council. So he's another one that I'm sure would be willing to come to our meeting and have some discussion. He's very community oriented and he'd like to make his case known. So that's a good suggestion. Yeah.
now you want to triple it and do the same thing. Well, didn't you do it before? Somebody, yeah, let's bring them out, get them on camera, whatever, invite everybody.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, that's a good possibility, but as we all know, anybody who's dealt with utilities, they're kind of slippery sometimes. So to get them here, well, it's not like a school board or the auditor or whatnot, but that's one we can look into and see if we can get them here to explain this. But again, they also go to the Near East Area Commission. So when we're in communication, we attend commission meetings, so we can stay on top of that. And if we find out there's going to be something, people may want to attend that because the community can ask questions at the commission meeting. Anybody have any other concerns? And well, one concern that I'd like to bring up is now that we're getting development on Long Street, things are starting to happen on Mount Vernon, the streetscape in some cases needs to be addressed by the city. We have stretches on Long Street where street trees and the sidewalks are just a mess. Overgrown, they look bad. Thinking particularly in that block from Monroe to 17th. The street trees and the metal grates around are overgrown. It really is bad. And the street trees on Long Street have been planted at least 4 times in 20 years. And this is ridiculous with the city investment. With these projects we're getting the deal. We've got the Adelphi Quarter. We're going to get the Ogden by the Lincoln Theater. We're going to get the Dunbar down at Champion. The city has to do a coordinated effort on the streetscape on Long Street. With the Lincoln Theater and the designations it has and all this new development, it's time the street meets the quality of those of us that live in the neighborhood and the new buildings that are being built. I mean, it's long overdue. And Champion, believe it or not, the street trees on Champion, maybe you've seen them, the lilacs that are in bloom from about Champion down past 20th, those are nice. Those trees are nice. I don't understand how those trees can look so nice. Long Street, we don't have that. So, city forester, various people in the city, let's get Long Street looking a little better. And if nobody has any other comments, concerns, issues, then we'll ask for a motion to close the meeting. Somebody move? Okay.
But before we do that, just wanted to let everybody know the next meeting will be July 9th.
Yes, thank you, thank you. All right, a second to the, you're right. All right, second, so we can, all right, there we go. All right, and all say aye, and then we'll, aye, okay, close me. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming. All right.